hang on. I don't think there it went. There starts the recording. So there we go. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the September 30th version, 2025 of our user group. Appreciate Kim uh, being kind of the hostess with the mostest and getting us started here this morning and all the organizational work she does to get the forum rolling. Also appreciate everybody with the switch in time. Part of that is to get a lot of really great things into UAT that I want to show everyone this morning. So it's a big demo day. So I even told Kim when I came on with her a few minutes early this morning, it's truly feels like a user group because we're going to have, I'm really spending a lot of time demoing today. So very, very excited about that. So let's click into just real quick. There's our agenda. We've already done our welcome, and thank you to Kim for doing that. And if you are watching this as a recording and you're like, wow, I'd like to attend these when they actually happen, just go to eva.virginia.gov. There's a user group section. You can sign up to make sure you get invited, and you can join us real time, and you can hear all the fun that Kim has with everybody as she greets and brings everyone on to the meeting before we get started. Real quick, some updates today. High priority projects. We're going to do a quick update on that, and then I'm going in and doing some demonstrating. Canceled orders and something new that's happening there. Report link out of our PO section. Cost adjustment lines. We are excited about these. I'll spend a fair amount of time going through cost adjustment lines today. And then some invoicing updates I want to show you guys. Our next slide here, pretty traditional release management slide. You can go check those release notes out that go back several years, I think, at this point, if you want to get into that. But certainly, if you need to catch up on the last couple of months of all the changes and things that have happened in eVA, this is a great spot to go. And then always remember that our eVA tips are located on the website as well, and just some helpful hints, not only for our buying community, but for our supplier community on, some helpful things about using eVA for all sorts of procurement business related needs. So let's dig into, and I probably should have dropped the S off of this because I'm really focused on high priority project. I'm going to demo some of this stuff for you today as well so you can see it. But we have been making and made in this month a lot of updates to our invoicing module, some changes to the optical character recognition functionality. That's where a supplier would actually email an invoice to an agency. You can get that email over into eVA and it'll grab the PDF version of the invoice. It saves that PDF version and creates a invoice transaction in eVA. So you have a copy of the invoice that was sent, but an invoice transaction in eVA that becomes your electronic invoice record. And then you can do your three-way match and your approvals and all that kind of fun stuff to get that invoice okay to pay. So really, really, really excited about that. Some analytics, and then you see that 10-2 date. A lot of these changes are coming in the evening of 10-2, so you will actually see them in production on 10-3. Analytics around invoicing, we're going to be launching an AP invoicing dashboard, which is really, really, really cool. We're excited about that. And then some workflow updates. And I'm going to show you the optical character recognition. I'm kind of letting you guys know that we're doing that for you. It's an awesome feature. It's a great way to collect invoicing data from a supplier and get that electronic record started. You're not going to really notice anything on your end around OCR. It's just a cool feature. You get an email with a invoice attachment in, you send it, we collect it. The other two here, the analytics, the workflow updates, I'm going to show you guys that today, plus a couple other things that I didn't even get on the slide that I'm going to show you about our invoicing module. Why am I saying this is the high priority project? Because guys, this is really where We are going to be focused on this throughout the rest of the year, probably going into next year. If you've been to user group meetings over the past several months and through even 2024 to 2025, you know this has been a big deal for us. And that's really all I'm talking about today from a user group perspective. We are very, very, very focused on making a lot of these great updates. We've heard from the field. We've been to a lot of agencies. We've collected some feedback, and we've made some changes that we think are going to be very beneficial. Kind of our continuous improvement model where we're hearing from you, hearing from the field, and making those tweaks and improving that process. But again, this is a very, very important thing that we're focused on from a DPS, DGS perspective is getting invoicing as a module rolling. So that's kind of an update on that. And again, that's going to be one of our, I'm gonna show you guys some of this stuff in UAT as well. But some other things we're going to talk about from a demo perspective. Canceled orders. Not that there's any change to how you cancel an order, but some great information that's now going to be on that PO so you can tell who canceled the order. I'm going to show you that. PO Report 203. If you guys are familiar with Report 203, it actually generates a purchase order. It includes allocation data. It includes receiving data. It includes approval information, all in one consolidated report. It's a pretty cool report. Well, we're going to have that linked for you. So you can run it right out of eVA, right out of the PO, and I'm going to show you that today. Really cool feature. Cost adjustment lines. This is new functionality. I'm going to say this several times. It's optional functionality. You don't have to use it. My opinion is it's very easy to use, and I think you're going to like it, but you don't have to use it if you don't want to. But the key around these cost adjustment lines, especially discounts and rebates, which are negative numbers, right? Negative line items, you can actually receive against your rebates and discounts, and you can invoice them, right? So you can confirm that you received your discount, right? Which you can do, which you really can't do now. So we're gonna spend probably the most time today in there so you can see all the cuts and slices. And again, I'll repeat myself. Shane, we're not ready for this. Shane, we don't know how to use this. Shane, I'm nervous about it. Shane, then don't use it. It is optional functionality. I personally think it's good. I think our team thinks it has a lot of benefits. Optional. You don't have to use it. Somebody sends you a requisition with these lines in it, deny it, send it back to them, make them delete it, and do whatever you were doing currently, right? Again, optional functionality. I want to be super, super clear about that. But again, I think you're going to like it when I show it to you. And then the last thing here, invoicing, that new dashboard. I'm going to let you have a look at that, what that looks like. So really, really accounts payable focused, but again, kind of beginning to crack the egg on dashboards for different business needs. Hopefully, we've been putting a lot of pressure on our friends from CGI, opening up more of the analytics, not just for a handful of agencies, but really for the enterprise, and then looking at some of these workflow updates. Again, more of a 30,000-foot view of invoicing. For those of you that are moving forward with invoicing, or if you're talking to our DPS team here, be it your account executive or somebody from my team with an account executive, if we'll really dive into invoicing with you guys on an individual agency basis. But again, giving you a 30,000-foot view today from a demo perspective on invoicing. So that is it. I'm going to very quickly stop the share on this and get rid of my PowerPoint presentation because we don't need it anymore. I'm excited. We're actually doing lots and lots of demoing today. I'm going to get my UAT screen up here, and I'm going to reshare. All right, and that puts us, I'll give our screen a chance to refresh, and that puts us into UAT. And I need to bring up my notes to make sure I don't miss anything. All right, let's dig into some demoing. So the first thing I want to show you today is the canceled orders. And we have put in some data. We'll put it on the PO header where it will make it easier and very quick for you to determine if an order is canceled, who did the cancellation. So let me drop this out. Actually, I'm going to drop my name out as well. I'm just going to pull up a bunch of orders that are in canceled status. There you go. So I did a search on that status. It says canceled. I've got probably hundreds and thousands of orders that are here in UAT and canceled status. I'll just click on the first one. I'll grab this one here. And right here on the PO header, I'll scroll down just a little bit. I can see that on 9/24/2025 at 2:36 p.m., Jennifer Taylor canceled this order. So we have pulled some information that we had kind of hidden behind the scenes and pulled that up onto the PO itself. The really cool thing about this update, so that is a more recent order. So that was one that was literally ordered on the 23rd and canceled on the 24th. When this function goes in, I'll go back. So there's one going all the way back to July that's canceled. It will pull that information on orders going all the way back months and months, years and years, and it'll pull that information up. So there's another one here. This PO was canceled and it was canceled back in July. So again, this functionality will be in place for you Friday morning. All of the things I'm talking about, Friday morning. So when you come into work, you get that computer booted up on Friday morning. If you want to go to your canceled orders and see who canceled them, that information will be there again starting this coming Friday morning. So that's a simple one. We're really, really excited about that. So let me shift gears here and bring up some POs for me. Make sure the canceled is gone from my status. So another thing that we've brought in, and I mentioned it on the slideshow, is this link to the 203 report. So I will pull up, I got an order right here. We've actually even invoiced this order, as you can tell. Bring up the PO. When you're in the PO itself, if you go to other actions and hit the drop down, you've got the ability to print it to PDF, print it to Word, or print PO to report 203. So if you click that link, and I will do that and give it a second to generate, it brings up that order. This is the same report that you can run out of the Report and Resource Center, but now you can do it directly off of a PO. So you're getting a print version of the order. That looks pretty standard, but some of the cool stuff here, it pulls in. Now, I don't have a lot of accounting on this, just my fiscal year has been done, but it pulls in your accounting information. It pulls in your approvers. Now, again, keep in mind, you see my name approving every one of these transactions. Again, keep in mind I'm in test, but you can see who's done the approving. And then there's a receiving report. Now, the receiving report didn't pull in for me here on that particular one. But if I come down here, it's got my version 2, same thing, the accounting information, the approvers. And then on this, I did the receiving on that secondary version. So in this case, this was a change order. So it pulled the original version, pulled the second version, and you'll notice then for my receiving being done here as well, and that receiving data coming in for my items there. So you get all that fun receiving information as well. This one had several receipts. I had done a return, and actually I had done a receipt, and a return. So lots of things happening on this particular purchase order. So a good example of all the various details you can get from the original order, the change order, accounting, receiving, all that stuff. But the cool thing is is that report is available right out of eVA. You don't have to go to the Report and Resource Center. You can pull up that PO and absolutely just right there in that menu and run that. And here, let me go back to Browse Orders. I got another one down here, just so you can see it in another version. I think this one's a little bit simpler. There's not a bunch of returns and change orders and stuff, but it just gives you the idea. Same thing. I ordered stuff and I had some shipping on there. Totals $90. Again, not very complex accounting, just my fiscal years here on this one. I did all the approvals, but then again, you can see the receiving information here as well on that. So I hope everybody finds that handy to have that 203 link right out of the PO. And Tony has come off his camera.
Yes.
So
I wanted,
go ahead,
wanted to
Tony.
make an important point that this information is not updated instantaneously to the 203 report.
Thank you,
The
Tony.
the information from the 203 report comes from our data warehouse. The data warehouse is updated from eVA every 6 hours, essentially 6 a.m., noon, 6 p.m., midnight. So in other words, if you do something in the morning, it'll be available for you about 1:30 in the afternoon. If you do something in the afternoon, it won't be available. The 203 will not be updated until that evening, essentially at 7:30. So, but because the information is loaded, it takes a while to process, etc. So just bear that in mind. It is not instantaneous. There is a roughly up to 6 hour delay on getting that 203 report updated and or created for you.
Thank you, Tony. That's a great point. It is a data warehouse report. Thank you, Tony, for that clarification. That is good information to have. But again, we hope you find that incredibly handy. That you're not going to have to like write down a bunch of PO numbers and dump over into the Report and Resource Center, that you'd be able to run that right from the PO, right out of eVA. So exciting to get that launched for you guys as well. All right. Now, shifting gears, and we're going to spend, those are two quick things. I hope you find them very valuable. We're excited about those. Now we're going to get into what we call cost adjustment lines. All right, cost adjustment lines. And this is the ability within eVA to add very quickly rebates, discounts, shipping, freight, or any other cost that isn't maybe necessarily a fully baked out line item, where you have all this various information on it that you would get when you're actually purchasing a service or a good. You're just documenting, hey, we got a rebate, we got to, I needed to pay for shipping, and it's a very quick way to do this. And I've got multiple options on how you can do this, and I'm going to show you both ways. One is as a standalone line, and that's what I'm going to show you first. And then the second part of that is you can put this information actually into an individual line item. So I prepped two draft requisitions here. So I'm going to go to our draft requisition number one. Let me zip up the allocations here real quick. So I'm in draft requisition number one, and I'm ordering widgets, and I've ordered $500 worth of widgets, and I need to add some additional information onto this because of maybe I turned in an old piece of equipment, or for whatever reason we got a discount. We got a discount on this. So they're at the line item level, adding an additional line. We have added in, you will see a new feature here, and again, this will be here on Friday morning, where it says add extra cost or discount. So to add this as an individual line, come to this area of your requisition, click the box, and a pop-up will come. And what are we doing? So first, let's do, and I have four options. You can do a discount, you can do freight, other costs, because we're not sure what it is. You can do like an other cost, and then there's shipping. So why don't we do a discount? These are all by value. So you're actually going to key in the dollar amount. So $50 discount, $10 discount, $25 freight, $40 shipping, or any other cost you might have. So in this case, we'll do a discount. I'll call it a discount. It defaults, it throws a 10 in there for you. let's say today we got a $50 discount. Um, the supplier that you used on your good or service line item gets pulled in. So Blue Ridge Fence and Windows, who I was ordering from, it does ask for a commodity here. Um, I'll just do football equipment. So we're getting a discount on whatever we purchased. So, you want to make sure you set the commodity. There's a tax rate column here. We don't use taxes, so you can just ignore it. You'll notice it's not required. And then when you're done with this, just very simply hit save and close. That'll close that for you. And that will add, zip that up again. That will add that discounted value line to your rec. And then you'll notice down here that my $500 order, I got a discount tapped on there. So you get a real quick for you guys that are doing approvals. If this has happened, you can very quickly come to the amount section and see if you've got anything extra going on, especially for some of those larger purchase orders with multiple line items. This is a good trigger or good area for you guys as approvers to look at to make sure you're checking it. And while we're here, let me add, why don't we add a freight cost here, right? So that is, you'll notice it's not negative. And let's say that was $25. We had to pay a freight charge of $25. Again, the commodities there. There is a freight commodity, I'm pretty sure. Transportation of goods. I mean, that's obviously one you could use for shipping and freight. So something to think about there. But again, freight and value. So we're going to pay $25 and I'm going to hit save and close. And then that's going to put that freight line in there. And then you'll notice extra costs come in, right? So again, anything you're doing, shipping, discounts, it's going to come in this particular example as an individual line item. So you can see I've got my discount. I've got the freight I was paying. They're marked as additional line items. You'll also notice you don't have to worry about quantity and unit of measure and things like that because discounts and freight and things like that, you're in a situation where you don't have to name quantities and unit of measure more often than not. If for some reason you would need to do that, you could do a standard line item like you've done in the past. eVA does allow for negative line items and has since we went live, but this is just a new way to do that and then mark it specific that you're getting a discount and additional cost, shipping and freight. And again, the trigger down here for you guys that are approvers that you've got something going on is here. You'll notice a little hourglass. You can click on the hourglass and that actually launches a little summary. So you can see, all right, I've got a positive, going in there with freight, and I've got a negative. This is a discount going in as a discount. So it even gives you a little summary of that. So again, some great triggers for you guys from an approval perspective as well. Now, what I want to show you is I want to go ahead and submit this and approve it because I want to show you the receiving. Uh-oh, got a blocking alert. What's my blocking alert? Oh, I didn't do my allocations. Look at me. My goodness, Shane. Let me do my allocations real quick.
And Shane, while you're adding those allocations, a great question came over and was asking about the shipping. Does the function keep the shipping from being part of the eVA fees the way the NIGP codes do?
It should. I mean, that should be part of that. We'll make sure. I'm hoping Joel or Joey and Bryant are on this call. That is absolutely something that we need to make sure it continues to happen. But yes, that would be the plan. That would be the plan. So I've got my allocations in there now. Now I'll go ahead and do my submit. And you'll notice I had a template, my accounting template. I even have it set up for my cost code in UAT, which is 609 here at DGS. So I applied my template very quickly. And again, going back to report 203, why you saw my name on there a million times, I am in UAT. I'm just going to do all the approvals. I do not suggest you do this at your agency when you're in production. That doesn't pass the audit test. But certainly in a test environment, I'm just going to go through and do all these approvals really quickly. There we go. So I've got my PO generated. There's my PO. I got my widgets, my discount, and my freight. And then again, it's also summarized on the PO. What I wanted to show you what a big difference is right now. If you do a negative line item now, that's not part of this new functionality we've put in, you really can't receive it. It doesn't pull in to receiving negative lines. So now if I do a receipt, and I'm going to go ahead and create my receipt, I'm going to hit save to pull in those line items. You'll notice that discount comes in, and I can confirm through my receipt that I got my discount, which is great. Obviously, the shipping is there; it's a positive number, but they're also marked very clearly: discount and value, freight and value, so you can very clearly see that on the receipt. But this is the big thing I wanted to show you: is the ability now through the receiving process, if you're getting a discount, if you're getting a rebate, for your end users, your receivers to consciously go, yes, we received the discount. Now, that could be driven from receiving an invoice and needing to confirm that. But again, this concept of through the receiving process, being able to consciously say, yes, we received our discount. So I'm just going to go ahead. We're going to receive everything in this case. I'll go ahead and process that receipt. So now that is received. I can go back, browse my order here. There's my order. So I ordered 475. I received 475 because that's with my discounts and everything incorporated. And then we can go in here and again see that summary that we actually ordered $500 worth of stuff, got $50 off, and had to pay $25 in freight. All right, so we had that happen. The other thing you can do, and I'm going to drive over to my receipt here real quick. And from this receipt, just so you can see what it looks like, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do just a quick internal PO flip, but the same idea here. Let me zip up my allocation so the screen looks a little nicer there for you guys. Whoops. And hopefully this is all familiar to you guys from an invoicing perspective, if you've seen us do invoicing. And I'm going to put our holiday calendar on there. Hopefully you would have a valid invoice that you attached if you're getting an invoice submitted. But what I wanted to show you here on the invoice as well, if that supplier is doing a PO flip, or if they're sending you an invoice and they're documenting the discount, you'll be able to receive the discount. You'll be able to have the discount reflected on your PO. And then the invoice itself within the line items has that discount in it as well on the invoice. And just for kicks and grins, I'll go, got to do an invoice date. I'll go ahead and submit that invoice and get that invoice turned in, because then just, as a reminder, all right, my invoice went into a waiting to assign. That's a new thing I'm going to show you in just a minute. But from a kind of, three-way match perspective, we got that match buttoned up. Very simple example, I understand. But my total order value, including my discounts and shipping, was $475. I was able, in my receipt, the total value was $475, but the receipt detail has the good I purchased, the discount I received, and the shipping I paid. So I'm confirming all three of those elements. And then the invoice that I also received, being able to tie all those elements together from a three-way match perspective, and having that level of detail captured, that I'm seeing that I got a discount, I'm confirming I received it, and that it's invoiced as well. So that is some of the one of the ways you can do a cost adjustment line. Now, we know that there are some organizations, number one, they might have a financial system that cannot handle those negative line items, right? And let me browse my recs again, and I'm going to go back to my example. Here it is. So this is the one I just processed. I showed you a way to do this where you're doing your requisition, doing your order, and you're extending that out. You're adding additional lines. But again, we know, let me zip up the allocation so you get a better view. We know that we have some financial systems, they just, negative numbers are not cool. Negative numbers are not cool at all. They won't integrate, they won't be accepted. You might have another technical issue that you can't pull into an external system. If you're doing a flat file interface or integration or whatever, you can't pull in those negative numbers. So there is another option for recording these types of transactions. And let me show you that. Go back to browse. I had put another example rec together here. I'll go in. And there we go. Let me zip up the allocations again so you get a better view. So again, same thing. Got my widgets, $500. But I'm at an organization that I know I can't do a standalone negative line. I know that's just not going to fly. Or I've gotten a discount and it's maybe based on a percentage. Maybe it's a percentage off. We got 10% off or whatever. And I don't feel like doing the math, which certainly I hope you can do 10% off 500, but sometimes they get a little complex and maybe the percentages are weird. You're getting 7.25% off or something crazy like that. So we've given you some additional options. If you go into the good or service line item, so I'll click on my widgets here, there is a section within the line item itself where you can record your discount. So the one difference between within the line and outside when you're adding an individual line item is if I hit add, it adds a line for me. I get an additional option, one additional option, and it's discount in percentage. So I could do a percentage off if I want, 10%, 5%. The one nuance with doing this feature inside of the line item itself. So let me do value again. If I do discount and value, it actually does. You'll notice it's a little bit different than what I did when I do an individual line item. It's giving you the discount per unit. So per unit. And in this case, if I do a $10 discount and my unit price is only $5, I'm actually going to end up with a total negative number. So let's say I got $1 off. I got $1 off again. That is a per unit calculation. So you'll notice the -1 times my order quantity of 100, I'm getting $1 off per unit. That is $100 in total. That knocks a $500 order down to $400 because I'm getting $1 off per unit. Same thing with the percentage. So got to be the math. You got to do a little bit more math when you're in here. It's not just a straight up, oh, I'm throwing a discount on. So something to think about. But what it does do is it gives you the option to do a percentage off if you'd like to do that. It also, for organizations, again, where you just cannot do a standalone negative line item. And there's several of you guys out there. It gives you the ability to put this type of detail into the line item. So you're recording the fact you got a discount. But if I save, and let's leave this $1 off on there. So if I save this particular line, we'll save and close. It leaves that calculation in the line item. Zip up my allocation so you can see good. And you'll notice now my order total is $400. Okay. So, 5 times 100 is 500. But again, that discount is being baked into the line item. So you can record the fact that you got a discount at the line item level without having to do a standalone negative line item. Now, again, these are all optional. You don't have to use this functionality if you do not want to, but you have, starting Friday morning, you'll have 2 new options to do this. Now, again, the very, very nice thing, when I bake these updates into an individual line, from an approval perspective, from a review perspective, you get the same thing down here at the total. it'll come in, whoa, I'm getting a discount. I can click on the hourglass and I can see that a discount is being applied here and that it was $100 total. And then it, again, per unit, $1 per unit was happening. So again, the math can get a little tricky in that case, but I wanted to show you, you got options and your ability to record your discounts either at or within the line item or at the line item level. And then same thing here, I'll go ahead and submit this just so you can see it. We'll submit for approval. We'll go through these real quick. I had already allocated that one line item. That's why I did not get the allocation error. I didn't add additional line items like I did in my first example. All right, looks like the order, there you go. The order generated. Again, it's just one line item, but again, that information carries forward to the PO as well. And then same thing, guys, you create your receipt. And again, you are receiving, and you'll notice the discount has been applied because instead of paying 5, I paid 4 because I got that discount. So the discount is applied as part of the receiving process. So I'm just going to receive everything. I'll hit submit. We'll close that. We'll go back. Let me browse this order for you so you can see it. There you go. I ordered 400. I received 400. But again, if you dig into the details of the PO, you've got that discount reflected there. And then, you know, obviously from a matching perspective, if I'm getting a discount, you know, being able to confirm, hey, I received all my product. And then same thing here, the invoice itself could be done and match. And so you can do that matching. I won't do the invoice in this particular example. So again, just to summarize this, because I know this is a new function, there's a lot of cool things going on. And let me drop us into my first example here where they're standalone line items. There we go, just so you can see that and have a look at it while I'm talking about it. These cost adjustment lines, you can do them on the requisition as standalone line items. That's the example you have here. You can also do those discounts and shipping costs within the line item, and those details are captured within the line item details in an individual line. You have that clue here from an approval review perspective that you've got something going on. That's both on the requisition in the line items area and on the PO. So it does transfer over. You can see it in both spaces. So you can get a little summary and know that discounts or other costs have been applied. And again, I can't stress this enough. You guys are probably sick of me hearing it. These options do not need to be used. This is optional functionality. Optional functionality. If you guys aren't in the mood to change your business processes or train people on how to use this, or you just think it's going to be confusing, then don't. Again, it's optional functionality from you guys. But I hope you like that. I hope you see some value in that. You know, I know a lot of times now with our discounts, we're probably attaching some sort of quote. That discount is buried in the quote, and maybe we're doing our line item and not reflecting the full cost of that line item and reflecting the fact that we had some sort of discount or rebate. You've got the ability to record that now. You've got the ability to show those details. So we're a little bit more transparent when we're doing this type of processing. So a little bit more transparency. So excited about that. All right. And our last, we got about 14 minutes to go. In our last 14 minutes here, I'll shift into the invoicing part of this. We have made some really cool changes to our invoicing module. Again, this is has been and will remain for the next several months, probably our highest priority project here at DPS, and certainly with the eVA team as we support and participate in the rollout of the invoicing module. We have had several agency visits A lot of our staff, from our account executives to folks on my team, have been out, and even myself personally, have been out to talk to agencies about invoicing. We've gotten some great feedback from you guys, and incorporated some cool things we hope for you. The first thing I want to show you is, and I'm going to go about this a very weird way, but I want to show you we have a homepage that is what we call the invoicing dashboard. So this is available for your AP teams and folks that have the accounts payable profile and are very involved with the invoicing process. It gives you some summary information around invoices. Acquire is really invoices that are coming in and action needs to be taken. That's a quick link to browse invoices that need approval from the AP team, and invoices that are okay to pay. So the ability to click on those links out of this dashboard and get to those browse areas. There are dates on our invoices. And again, guys, today I'm giving you a 30,000 foot view. We're not going to dig into a ton of detail. When we come on our individual agency visits, or our account executives and somebody from my team come and visit with you guys, we'll dig into some of these details. But again, there's an action area. So we know 30-day prompt pay, that's important to us, making sure things are moving. So it gives me a list of invoices that are within, hey, they're due within the night. We've received and confirmed receipt of this invoice, and, we got a clock ticking. We got some due dates coming up. Good news, you can even see from here, I've got a couple invoices that are due today, but look at that. They're paid. So great. I'm doing good. Oh dear. I do have an invoice that's due today that's still in AP review. So that's signaling me I might have a problem, something I need to dig into. And then there's just some overall analyses and things like that. As we roll out invoicing to you guys out at your agencies, we'll get this dashboard launched for staff that needs it, and then we can kind of tweak it, update it. We hope this is a good starting point for you guys to get started. And again, there's some, invoice amounts by month and, all sorts of fun things to look at. And again, I am in test, so you'll notice I have a bunch of invoices without a due date. Well, clearly we wouldn't do that, in a production environment, but you get the idea, being able to balance. I've got a certain amount of invoices overdue, due in 5 days, due in 16 to 30. You get the idea here of being able to analyze, dig in, and make sure that the invoices that are coming in to be approved and paid are moving through the system. So a nice dashboard that we've kicked up there for that. And again, I kind of mentioned it, when I was kicking off our buyer user group meeting today. This is a big start for us. We hope, we're pressing to kind of get more analytics out there and more dashboards and more reports and things that help you run your business, right? Help you do your day-to-day work, have oversight and some analytics. So this is kind of an example of some of the things we can do, and certainly from an invoicing perspective. Another thing we've launched, and I'm gonna go in. There we go. That's the invoice I just did. I'm going to go into this invoice here. So this is the invoice that I did earlier. It's in a waiting assignment. It's one that needs to be assigned, to be reviewed, to be approved, to move out the door. We have added a new feature, and again, it's an optional feature, but we have turned on in the invoicing module. If you look at your left-hand menu here, you've got all sorts of neat features. You've got an internal conversation thread, and this is where I could send and share messages internally with my staff, so folks within my agency. We have also enabled a supplier collaboration feature. So the supplier that sent me this invoice and the contacts that have access to that supplier account, I can actually have a conversation directly with the supplier Um, you know, we bad message here, but we are missing some of the items you have invoiced us for. Or having a conversation directly with them about, your invoicing is incorrect, or I'm going to reject this invoice, or, for whatever reason, or, but the ability to collaborate directly with your supplier community. So you'll notice for this particular one, it even tells you that there's two externals, right? And there's me. And then my external contacts at this company are Charles Dennison and Sean Dennison. All right. So they are the folks that I'm having these conversations with. I can add additional internal users to a supplier collaboration. I could add additional supplier contacts if they are registered and set up in eVA. And let's see, I don't know if anybody. Yeah, no, they don't have any additional, but I could add more internal users if I wanted to, right? And put those folks in. So there you go. All sorts of people. But again, just some options there from a collaboration perspective. And I think the cool thing is you can kind of see who the supplier contacts are. Keep in mind, new feature, don't have to use it. There could be some nerves around collaborating directly with a supplier through a tool like this. So again, don't use the feature if you do have any concerns like that. And also probably always good if you're going to start messaging with a supplier, make sure, are these contacts you're familiar with, are these contacts that you're working with at the supplier level to make sure the right people are getting the message. But again, gives you a new option and a new way to collaborate with the supplier community. And again, right now, this is very restricted. We have turned this on for invoicing only. But if you are kind of tying two together, supplier collaboration is really an option around all of your transactions where a supplier is involved. So something to think about and real interested as invoicing rolls out to hear your feedback and the feedback from the field on the value of this particular function. So again, we'll live and learn on that. If it doesn't work for us, we'll cut it off. But if it works for us, there are potentially some areas to expand. So another feature with invoicing that I think is really cool, and you may have noticed this, and for these particular transactions, you're moving invoices around your organization potentially to get them approved, or maybe even within your own accounts payable shop. You'll notice this particular invoice has been locked by me. So you can lock transactions. Now, a transaction is automatically locked. If you go in and access the invoice, it locks it for you. But you can go in, let's say this sterile services company, it's awaiting assignment. It's an invoice that's come in. If I want to, I could lock that invoice and I could, take action on it. And then it restricts others within your group from going in and working on that particular invoice. All you have to do to unlock it is very quickly click, and I can do that up here for this one. I can click, and now that invoice is no longer locked, and somebody else could do the assignment, move that invoice around, do what they needed to do. So a pretty cool locking feature that's available there again. And that's really for our accounts payable team, especially if there's multiple members of the accounts payable team. They can go into an invoice, lock it, take the action they need to do, move it along without having another team member accidentally come in and work on something that's already being worked on. So a very cool feature as well. But just wanted to show you that. And then our last thing here, and I know we're getting very tight on time. Our last thing here is some changes to the workflow. I'll show you these right down. I got to be able to spell right. There they are. Our changes to workflow. So I wanted to show you this particular example. We have now configured the workflow where we've created paths for non-PO invoices. So non-PO invoices, think about your utility bills, rents, things like that, that are not procurement based. And then we have another path for PO based invoices. So I wanted to show you what that looked like. If I click on this particular invoice, this is from Dominion Energy. You can pretend, I wish that's awesome if one of our big buildings had $1,000 energy bill. That would be really cheap, I think. But in any case, this is Dominion Energy bill that's come in. The invoice is attached here. You can, get a quick view of the invoice there. So there's my invoice. Kind of a simple invoice there. You can launch that invoice in a new window if you want to. But again, the concept here from an approval perspective is because, and let me go back to the invoice, because this invoice came into us, it was consumed by our OCR. We captured the invoice from the supplier, but it doesn't have a purchase order on it, and that's valid. And again, no order then is associated here. We have a special path where that invoice is captured. It goes to our AP team. Our AP team kind of decides, hey, is this legitimate? They can keep it within the AP team. They can pass it out to somebody on the business side to verify the utility bill if they need to, and then run it through those approvals. And then the other view, the PO-based approval, you can kind of see it here, but I'll show you what that looks like. I'll just browse some invoices here. Let me reset my search. This is a great example. It's the one I just did. If I go into that transaction, I go to the approval status, you'll notice it goes down the PO path. This invoice is associated with an order. It's also associated with a receipt. So I've got an order and receipt that are associated with this. Obviously, this is my example that I just did where it was widgets and freight and a discount. And there is a different approval path where it comes down. Again, really the same steps. Whoever is doing this assigning has the option then to move it to a business owner or keep it within the AP team. The other nuance about this is you have the option, and again, we'll get into this with you when we do our individual visits, and I know I'm up on time. You have the option for the invoice for a PO-based invoice to go automatically to the business owner, or in this case, the requester that is on the purchase order, or the invoice could stay with the accounts payable team, even if it's a PO-based invoice. So you've got some configuration options there as well. So again, that I know that is a very, very, very high level demonstration of invoicing, but a couple things that are coming in Friday morning, that invoicing dashboard, your ability to do supplier collaboration, that lock feature, so you can take control of an invoice so nobody else can take action on a particular invoice you're working on, and then our new workflow for non-PO and PO-based invoices. And then one of the options on the PO-based invoice is it could actually go directly to a business owner and could go directly to your requester on a purchase order, or it could stay with a role on your AP team. Now, again, I know that's a really high-level overview. We will get into details with you as we come and do our individual visits with you guys. So again, I know now I'm 1 minute over time. I'm sorry about that. I just knew this was an exciting day. We had so much to demonstrate, 4 really cool things with all sorts of nuance and fun. So I hope everybody enjoyed that. And again, Kim has recorded this. So if you want to watch it again, you can go back and watch it again.
Yes. So I did remind everyone that a playback of today's meeting will be emailed out to our buyer user group members, as well as being posted on our eVA website under the buyer information page of our website. So look for that hopefully later today, but absolutely by tomorrow. Thank you for all the great questions. Tony was feverishly answering most of those behind the scenes. And we appreciate the conversation, the feedback, and input for some suggestions that also came out of that behind the scenes Q&A that was taking place. Appreciate everybody pivoting and taking the time to join us for today's user group. Since we changed our date, we will hope to see whoever's able to make it to the forum this year and our in-person user group in November. And if not, stay connected with us through our eVA Extras. Reach out to your DPS account executive, and always know that customer care is also available. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great one.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all.